Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you this special bulletin. The Marvels weekend box office numbers are in, and well, I predicted it. A lot of people predicted it. It fell just a little bit short of the projections, coming in at $47 million domestic. And oh boy, I do believe we can classify this as a box office failure on the part of Disney, Marvel. In this article from Variety, box office, the Marvels misfires with 47 million, lowest MCU opening weekend of all time. Ouch. It's kind of strange because didn't Captain Marvel make over $1 billion? What on earth happened? Could it possibly be, heaven forbid, people weren't actually interested in this character? No, it had to be something else, right? Surely with so many people all across social media, all the websites talking about how great and how fun this movie is, how enjoyable it is to watch, couldn't possibly be that it's piss poor writing, bad story, nonsensical plot, and almost not on, the stakes. Would they be called the stakes? They're power shifting. Made absolutely no sense. There was no consistency. Couldn't be that. Has to be, let's see. What are the excuses? The lack of advertising, the lack of promotion, the writer's strike, and toxic man babies who just can't stand to have a strong female character in the lead role. No, couldn't. It has to be all of those things. Couldn't possibly be that nobody's interested. But let's see what the article's got to say. Disney Marvel Cinematic Universe is no longer a bulletproof box office franchise. It hasn't been for quite some time. People have been talking about this warning over and over again, but nobody listened. That much, oh no, they listened, but they spent all of their time insulting the critics, even though there was legitimate criticism after legitimate criticism. But the insults were flowing, the name calling, all that. Let's see. That much is clear after the Marvels misfired. That's a bit more than a misfire. In its opening weekend to land the worst debut in MCU history. Initial tracking was closer to $75 to $80 million. Oopsie doopsie. But those projections shrank dramatically in recent weeks to $60 to $65 million. I didn't think this movie was going to make $50 million domestically in its opening weekend, and boy, I was right. I was actually getting a little concerned when it was coming in, when the numbers were first coming in, that it was going to break $50 million, but damn, Sunday fell flat. And I have a funny feeling, word of mouth, I don't know. Five Nights at Freddy's had a 70% drop off week to week or weekend to weekend. I think it was even worse than 70%. Is it possible that the Marvels, after having a worse opening weekend than Five Nights at Freddy's, which also released day and date on Peacock, could it have as bad, if not worse, week-to-week drop-off? We'll have to wait and see. Two other films. Not interested in that. Marvels didn't even match those disappointing estimates. What else happened? I believe right down here also fell short of expectations on the international box office, with $63.3 million from 51 territories for a worldwide start of 110. Apparently, the projections were $140 million, so that makes it even worse and worse. Now, this article tries to claim that the production cost was $220 million and $100 million to promote the film. Now, I might venture to believe the $100 million to promote the film, especially considering the actors and actresses could not go out and go on the talk shows and anything. But that $220 million, it's already been shown that Disney, I guess, flubs those numbers, and you can usually add about $50 million to the production budget just because, Disney lies. But also the number of reshoots that were involved, the cutting room floor that is probably filled with at least an hour or so. Initial projections on the length of the movie was well over 2 hours, and they dropped down to almost an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. So I don't know. I would think this little production budget would be closer to $300 million. Marvel's turnout or lack thereof, massive lack thereof, is surprising because the passionate MCU fan base has turned even less embraced installments into box office winners. Yeah, audiences flat out rejected the Marvels. That's because men don't like strong female characters. Oh, piss off. It's a bad movie. It's poorly written, poorly paced, and just, yeah. Quite a few times I'm sitting there watching the movie and going, that's not how that works. That's not how that shit works. And you can give me the excuse that, well, it's based on a comic book. It's a comic book movie. No. There's a part of the movie that's pretty much based on Spaceballs. Okay? Part of the movie, part of the bad guy's plan is based on Spaceballs. Okay? How can you take a movie like that seriously? Unprecedented box office collapse, says David A. Gross, who runs the movie consulting firm Franchise Entertainment Research. The strikes hurt the film's marketing. I would really like to know. I am curious. Is there some sort of study out there that shows stars, actors, actresses, production, the showrunners, the producers, all these people, them going out onto these late night talk shows and running their mouth on late night talk shows that not too many people watch anymore? How much of an effect does that have? I guess, how can you compare that? You can't really compare that to Captain Marvel because Captain Marvel was sandwiched in between two movies that were box office successes, to say the least, box office phenomenons, and everyone felt like they needed to go see it. No, not too many people actually liked Captain Marvel. It was criticized left, right, and center for a lot of the story beats, and it served no real purpose in the story of the Avengers and Endgame and Infinity War. So I don't know if you could really compare it to that one. Maybe something more recent, like, I don't know, let's compare it to The Flash. Other people have compared it to The Flash and perhaps Blue Beetle, as well as, I don't know, Black Adam. Correct me if I'm wrong. Weren't they able to promote those movies? There wasn't a strike going on. Maybe there was with one of them. But those movies tanked at the box office as well. So, I don't know. Maybe the writer's strike did not have an effect on it at all. Perhaps it was just a complete and total lack of interest, not necessarily in the superhero genre, but a lack of interest in a character no one was interested in seeing. And perhaps no interest in two characters who people didn't know anything about, their stories hidden behind the paywall that is Disney+. Marvel's turnout is surprising. I already read that. Unprecedented box office collapse. Read that as well. Nia DaCosta, who fucked off before production was even finished, co-starring sequel to the billion-dollar blockbuster Captain Marvel. That was luck. Sandwiched between Infinity War and Endgame. Was it between those two movies? I know it was in between a couple of movies. It's been a while since I've watched them, folks, and I did not watch Captain Marvel. I've watched quite a few reviews on it, but I didn't watch the movie. At that time, Marvel can do no wrong. Oh, since the pandemic, superhero films had endured simultaneous streaming, which was just a bad idea. Day and date, theatrical release, as well as on streaming, probably not the greatest idea. The excuses are going to come out. They actually have already. I believe there was an article somewhere that was, oh, look, right here. Let's get rid of me there for a second. Don't listen to the misogynists. The Marvels is a triumph. This was released Thursday night, opening night, ahead of the Marvels release this weekend. Here's why you should ignore the anti-feminist slander. Criticizing a movie with a female lead is anti-feminist slander. My goodness. And then the movie came out. It was hot garbage, and there was nothing really to watch. $47 million, lowest MCU opening weekend. What is it going to take for the powers that be, especially at Marvel and DC and Warner Brothers and Disney, to finally admit, pull their heads out of their rectums, and actually admit that maybe, just maybe, it's the writing. Not necessarily the actors, definitely not the fans. Stop insulting the fans, get some good writers, get some good stories, and maybe you'll start making money. Don't know what it's going to take, but hey, maybe eventually we'll get there. Let me know what you think. Did you see The Marvels? Are you going to see The Marvels, or are you just going to wait for other people to review it and destroy it and laugh at it? Leave a like, leave a dislike. Do all that nifty stuff that YouTubers do, that ask you to do, and I hope to see you on the next one.